welcome to Pressing Matters. I'm here with Kate Zyanard, who is the host of the Sew and Tell podcast, and we're going to be talking about bias tape, specifically making bias tape. So Kate, let's get started, but first, tell me about what is the bias, what does that mean, and then how do you make your own tape?
All right, so the bias basically means when you're working on a 45-degree angle to the grain.
Okay.
So if you take and tug this little piece of fabric on the grain, you see there's really no stretch there.
Yeah.
But if you do it on the 45-degree angle, there's a lot of stretch.
Oh, yeah.
And so you use this stretch on bias tape because it helps you move around curved edges and corners really nicely, and you don't get a whole bunch of puckering. It just kind of stretches and moves with the curve of the fabric.
Oh, that's great. And it's pretty easy to see the grains when you're in there. When you get really close to them, you can see just it's those straight lines that go that way or that way. So
exactly.
Perfect. All right, so that's the bias. Tell me, how do we make our own tape?
So you start with a bias strip of fabric.
Okay.
And the most basic way that you make it is by folding it in half to get a center crease and then folding both sides in to the center and pressing that down, which is perfectly fine if you're working with a short little strip like this.
Exactly. Yep.
However, if you're trying to put bias tape, for example, around a queen-size quilt, that can get really, really tedious.
Oh yeah, been there.
So that's where these really cool tools come in handy. So these are 3 different sizes of standard bias tape sizes. I'm going to use the biggest one here. So I'm just going to set these aside, and I'm going to show you how to use this cool tool.
Yes, we love tools.
Yes, we do. So you start by feeding your bias strip into your tool, which can be a little tricky sometimes to get it started.
All right.
And what the tool does is it folds the fabric into the shape that you want when it comes out the short side. And then all you have to do is grab your super cool iron and press it as it comes out. And you can just move it back and press along the way, and you get this lovely folded bias tape with hardly any effort at all.
Oh, that is great.
It's especially great if you've got a cool cordless iron like this.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can just keep going until you run out of pressing surface.
Oh my goodness, you could go for miles.
Yes, you could.
Oh, that is great.
So yeah, there you go. You have your own piece of homemade bias tape.
That is great, but what happens if I'm at home? I don't have one of those handy dandy tools. What do you do then?
Well, I have a great tip for that situation, and also if you're using something that doesn't fall into one of these standard sizes, if you need a different size of bias tape. So I have a strip here that's just a little bit bigger than the one I was just using.
Okay.
But that makes it bigger than my tool.
Than your tool.
And so if I tried to put it in there, I might get an overlap, and then it wouldn't be the right size.
Defeats the whole purpose.
Exactly. So, super easy tip. You start by just folding it in half to get your half size.
Okay. And that's what the size of your tape is going to be at the end of the day, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And then you just grab 2 pins and put them on either side like that.
Okay.
And then you get it started exactly the way you did, using these as your outside borders.
There you go. Need that.
Exactly. And then you can just pull this through.
There you go.
Using these pins to give you the size of your bias tape. And basically, it just acts as the same kind of tool, but it's just a couple of pins. That's all you need.
Oh, that's great. So you really are. You're making your own bias tape, and you're making your own bias tape tool.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
All you need is 2 pins.
All right, Kate, thank you so much for these tips. I know you can go out and you can buy bias tape, but now you know how to make it yourself.
Panasonic.